hear you. Come in here. We're all here because we're concerned about you.
We need to talk.
Learns about the blood vitals.
I think we're done here. That's all we can do. Yeah, so that's the timeline. So to the people out there, I delivered on my promise.
Hi, Jason.
Hello, Reed.
It's time to talk.
Okay.
So, we have quite a lot of questions here to get through, so
Okay.
we'll try and get through it. But the best news here is we're going to start nice and easy here. And how's your day been so far, Jason?
Been lovely.
Yeah?
Been lovely seeing all you guys, meeting all the YouTubers in one place is always good.
Well, we've been having an absolutely fantastic time playing
Good.
all the maps, and
Good.
they look beautiful, Jason. It's
Thank
really
you.
something to see not even the sound, even on the the little sound we're getting right now for our setup. Wow, it's really takes you back not only from a nostalgia point of view, but you do hear that difference that
Sure.
developers really get from the last generation to the next generation. I know you keep saying how that bores you. I love that stuff. Are you kidding me? I would talk with you forever about that
I
stuff.
don't know. See, when I see the YouTube stuff, it's always really quite quick. But I'd love to spend hours talking about the process of making. But
Well, that's one of my favorite parts about it is the whole process of storytelling and making this content.
Sure.
Because to me, what always has meant the most in my life is stories that stick with you in some way.
Sure.
And games are just like that. And I actually am curious about you. Do you have any stories that have influenced you in the creation of making zombies?
oh, I mean, it's hard to tear them apart, right? I mean, like all of them.
Right.
It's I couldn't even begin because I love mythology. So
course.
I've collected mythology through my travels. Every time I used to go to a country, I used to ask for their local mythology and used to collect that. I was very blessed to do a lot of traveling when I was younger.
Oh, that's awesome.
So even really obscure stuff, and it sounds strange, but Germany, you go there and they've got their old Siegfried stuff, all these kind of things, and you're like, wow, this is amazing.
Of course.
And it's not very, or like Finland and Sweden and all these kind of places, and they the thing that's great about mythology, those stories, is that they're stories that are boiled down to an essence so they could be spoken by word. And that's really, if you want to kind of learn about the craft and the art of storytelling, mythology is actually a great place to start because it had to. There was no other medium for it to travel. You had to be around a campfire to spread that stuff. So, if we went back in time, or I wasn't born in this age, I'd probably be sitting at a campfire telling stories somewhere. So
Maybe in a frozen forest.
maybe in a frozen forest. So that's where I kind of draw my inspiration. But it's everywhere. And to be honest, it's not just the books. I love my comics, graphic novels. The looking in the places where other people aren't looking. It's incredible, right? We live in a very TV, film-dominated kind of era right
Very
now,
much so.
but actually, going to the library, going to the books and so forth is where any person who wants to kind of aspire to be to craft narrative or work on that stuff, that's where I would say you kind of go.
Well, that's great. By the way, Reed is my name.
Yes.
I swear it's like a birthright. I love reading so much, and you see such incredible storytelling that it moves you and inspires you to do more of that.
Sure.
And that's awesome that you got to go through all kinds of places and travel to see that.
Yeah.
Because cultures are the best way to experience history.
Absolutely.
In so many different mediums.
Absolutely.
So, that was nice, but now I got a really hard
gonna give me the
question.
hard ones, okay.
We'll go back and forth here. We'll do some happy, do something a little hard.
Okay, give me hard. That's going to turn into a meme now. Should have said
that. The bone step.
Yes.
What was going on with that? What was at least the thought process between giving us next to no hints, or maybe there were hints that we completely missed in the Revelations Easter egg? Many players were very frustrated that became shoot a random rock that looked like the rest of the rocks.
Yep. So for Revelations, we got to a point where in previous kind of steps, Easter egg steps, we really kind of laid down visual and other kind of clues going forwards.
Right.
So there was a kind of real logical progression through stuff. But as part of the kind of whole zombie mentality and one of the things that I'm interested in is challenging and changing stuff and then seeing reactions and results to things. It's really easy kind of in retrospect or from an outside point of view to say, well, that made no sense.
Of course.
But here's the thing,
2020.
you've got to try those things, you've got to do different things to find out what works, what doesn't work. The decision to kind of do the bones and to do kind of a random shot was out of interest on, you know, how are people going to be moved and what are they going to experience and see in searching for that step. So it's less about the step itself, but by giving a space in the Easter egg quest, I saw, because I would ask my guys to kind of be sending these things through, different routes of exploration.
Of course.
And that's what I was interested in. So it was actually less about the actual shot. Like it could have been go and press X on a wall that had nothing on it.
Of
It
course.
really didn't matter. But I was interested on putting in a step which wasn't signposted, it wasn't communicated in any way. And then see what the community and see how people reacted to it. And again, there's things in other maps where a cynical eye or a critical eye could say, well, why do that? Why not just do the thing you did before that
Of
worked?
course.
It's not about that for me, nor, you know, narratively or gameplay wise. It's about how does the team create different emotions and reactions. Sometimes that emotion and reactions mean frustration. Sometimes it's kind of pleasure and delight. Sometimes, you know, one man's pleasure is another man's poison, right?
Yes.
That is a continual experimentation. So that's the motivation behind it, and it's something that I wouldn't change. It's something that I will continue to do as well into the future, which is because for every one where people say, well, that was frustrating, I wouldn't do that. There's the thing where they say, that's amazing. That looked just as crazy when it was being proposed as the other one.
Right.
It's only in hindsight or retrospect that you say, well, I don't like that one.
Of course.
But we have to find that stuff, and so by doing so, like, because we could just signpost everything every single time.
Yeah. But that's not fun. But also, you could tell us everything to do with the Easter eggs and the storylines, and then it's not fun anymore. And none of this is worth anything at that point.
So that's, you know, that's why I do that type of stuff, and that's why I'm always interested, because and I won't go into the examples, but there are other ones where I thought, oh, everyone's going to go wild about doing that, and they didn't. They loved it. But you know, or like I'll have my team will say to me, oh, we shouldn't do that, or we should do that, and you never know. And so I've always seen zombies as a continual experimentation. I don't want it to turn into just the production mill. I don't. And by the way, the temptation would be so easy for it to be that. You know, I'm sure there's many a person would say to me, yeah, you know, that works. So we just add those things that work and put it together, and there's another map favorite for the fans. I think that's squandering and wasting the opportunity we have here at Treyarch, because these guys are all talented, you know, experienced individuals who've been working together for years. I think squandering that opportunity. So, and this extends, you know, I hope you're seeing this. This extends far beyond shooting this.
Yes.
This is about everything.
Absolutely.
And these these examples every so often, I'm sure there's a couple more of them, are really about try something different, try and see. Put frustrations in, put things that are complicated in, put easy things in. What about the mixture of those? What about the subliminal suggestion of something? You know, mixing these all together, and that's how I'd answer your hard question.
Well, it's a great answer, because you really made me so happy there to hear that kind of dedication to the game, because I very much feel the community does too, that we're almost in an era in which turning out the same thing is a smart thing to do, but the community does not like it.
I don't think it's a smart thing to do.
I don't either.
And I think that's the principle.
It's the safe route, which isn't safe.
It's what Treyarch's built on in my mind, which is that kind of experimentation. Like, I look for the passion in the eyes of the staff working here. And to be honest, if we're doing something and they're not excited by it, I usually change it, because the games industry is an incredibly creative, incredibly kind of passionate kind of development.
Every day.
Yeah, and it's different every day. But as such, I'm looking for people to be inspired, you know, by that kind of work, because then you're going to see it on the screen. It's very hard to describe this, but when people are kind of passionate about their work or excited by their work, I can't put my finger on it. If there was such a thing as digital soul, you see it, you feel it, right?
Yes.
And so that's the place I'm always striving. Do we always hit it? No. But that's the place that we should always be striving to, is something where the person playing it can feel the passion and love behind how it was created.
I love that. Well, I feel that in Zetsubou no Shima, where many people were very upset with the day one launch because some instability issues for certain things.
Yeah.
But I love what you introduce in the map. When you have the golden bucket, the plant system, the friendly thrasher, the jump scare Easter egg, these are all innovations that are one after the other that people, I feel graze over too constantly on that map. And it bothers me because of exactly what you're saying. It's a unique perspective from the game dev side where you're looking at Revelation, where we argue about the bone step, but just like, to me, I really did enjoy a lot of the stuff you did in Zet. And could have been a little longer, but...
And here's the thing, right? The bit that maybe people don't appreciate, and nor should they have to, because when I see bugs, sure, bugs get through. And we try and work as fast as we can. We have like a live ops team who obsess on this stuff, right?
Got it.
Because I never want you to see the magic behind the curtain, right?
Exactly.
Right? And bugs kind of gives you a little thing. I'm like, but let me tell you something about Zed Servo. I don't think I've mentioned it before. The engineering team, scripting team, all these kind of guys, essentially rebuilt the stuff underneath. Like, it was such a major overhaul to do the kind of systems in Zed Servo. And I know everyone goes, well, it just works the way it works.
Please.
Well, essentially, it's like, in the morning, the builder coming and saying, so while you're away, we're going to completely rebuild your house. But don't worry, it'll be like you remember it when you come home. And that's what they had to do. They had to take it all apart and rebuild it all. And I was, for not only for Zed Servo, but for stuff we were going to do in the future as well. And they were like, we're going to do it at some point. When do you want to do it? And I was like, well, let's do it now then.
Better now than later.
So, yeah, it was a little bit disappointing that some of those bugs kind of got through, but everyone worked incredibly hard to kind of get it stood up again. So
That's a tough timeline.
It was incredibly tough because you're doing it in a live environment, right? So it was. I salute those guys. They did an incredible job, and people joke with me about it. I think they joked this morning on the video. Zed Servo is actually one of the ones I'm most proud about. They absolutely took on something which is scary and terrifying and technically and graphically and sonically a challenge and nailed it,
I agree.
But, again, horses for courses, right? It's different people will fight.
Like different things.
I speak to people, Shangri-La, to bring it back down to Chronicles.
It was hated, that map on release. Dude,
Yeah.
like the people now that are like, it's such a good map. I'm just like, this is such nonsense.
Yeah.
I was here. Everyone hated it.
Yeah.
And as the years go by, it's just like, it's so strange to see that those new players coming back, and that's what's so great about Chronicles, is now they get to experience this for really the first time all in one game without coming in at Black Ops 2 or Black Ops 1 or Black Ops 3. Shang was so hated.
So what we're saying now is Zed Servo being the best map ever confirmed.
I am coming for you.
That's what I'm saying.
I've been saying that for quite some time. It's got to happen.
It's good, but that's the fun thing. I love, and here's the other thing, right? I love the fact that there's people in the community who will argue passionately about one map. If everyone turned to me and said, "This is the map. This is the great map. There's no other," we've failed.
Yeah,
we've absolutely failed. I want there to be contentious topics. I want there to be, no, it's this, no, it's that. That's what keeps it alive. I think sometimes people look at the zombie community and sometimes say, oh, look at the hate there. Oh, back in the old days, it was great. No, some of that stuff is the fuel which keeps it moving.
Absolutely.
You guys are defending it or attacking it. That's all good. That's healthy debate. That's great, right?
That's conversation. I remember a little phrase in WWE of all places where they said, as long as there's noise and they're making noise, that's good.
Sure.
You don't want a silent crowd. They're not interested.
Right.
Here's a nice, easy one. When are we going to go in the basement to go find the Zombie Chronicle?
I think you're technically the third interview who've asked me that kind of question. I know it was Johnny J25.
Of course.
Co-host of Zombros there.
Yep.
He said to me, I'm really sensitive to dust. I said, well, you can't go down there then. That's it. So I'd say that. I don't think it's safe for the public. I think Activision would stop us going down there.
Of course.
Right now.
All right. Well, I can live with that.
They're always killing the fun. I joke.
All right. Did the Revelations ending turn out exactly as you envisioned when you in Mob of the Dead and Origins when you were building this out?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Make my life easy there.
Yeah. It did. I've been very blessed with the fact that I've got an amazing writing staff here. I mean, Craig Houston. You met Craig
of course.
at
Wonderful guy.
COD XP. And just to kind of, because one of your first questions about narrative, I think people just completely underestimate the involvement it takes, because everyone thinks they're a writer. I've said this another time. Because I wrote an email once. The job of constructing is like building a wall, and then you get so far up, and then it's like, I'm just going to take this brick out. They have to go back and rebuild the wall, and just keeping everything kind of going and connecting and making sense, and then also working out cliffhangers and things you're going to pay off in 3 years' time or 6 years' time, and these kind of long timelines, takes real work and effort. And they do a phenomenal job. Craig is absolutely phenomenal, and the writing department's great. But it really to set something up where you know that you're going to trigger the community, right? Is the way I could say it.
Yep.
Takes a little bit of balls, right? You got to be willing to kind of go to a place where you know you're going to get hate. I mean, I remember the reaction of Origins.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
it was brutal.
They were going to Peter McCain me out in the parking lot, right? And but I feel like that grew to people can look back and go, "Oh, I get that." In the same way, that's how I feel about Revelations.
Well, that leads perfectly into my next question here, which is why so late for Dr. Monty? That's where I think the issue comes in right now with the ending of Revelations is the delivery. It's like, I feel, because we like Origins so much, because we can look back and go, oh, of course, of course.
Sure.
So Monty came so late in Go Rod Crovey. Was that the idea?
Yeah. So so you could have brought him in earlier.
Yeah.
And then you could have eked him out over time. There was a consideration, the way I was thinking about it, and that was voiced by Malcolm McDowell.
Of course.
He's phenomenal.
Beautiful talent.
Wonderful guy. Absolutely knocks it out of the park. But we were thinking back to, let's say, Origins. And in Origins, we had Samantha's voice kind of sitting over the top on a lot of the steps.
Yeah.
And the way we felt was that it probably stepped over a line where the narrative was actually imposing on the gameplay a little bit too much. And so we made the very conscious decision that we could say, okay, well, the way to do it, if narrative was the king, you'd do it like this and have this nice kind of, curve, right?
Gotcha.
But we felt like, as we were looking at it, and we tried some stuff, we were like, it's dominating it so much, it was taking away from the other experiences. And if you did too little, it then also felt like too much of a tease that we didn't want that tease, because we felt it would draw away from other things we were trying to set up.
Absolutely.
So it kind of came into, episode 3 and 4 of that. Now, there was a conversation about how much we want to go. And you could say we could go long, or we can cut it back.
The wisp are a big thing there, is how many. You had 13 wisps inside Go Rod Crovey, literally explaining so much of the storyline.
Yes.
That's a big step. That's a big jump for you guys.
And so, and we'd said, if we distributed this over all of them, would that be better? And we didn't feel so. We felt like that was going to draw the narrative into a discussions about that we didn't want. Because here's the thing I will say. There is narrative still in Revelations that when Craig and I sit together, we say, they haven't even talked about that or thought about that yet.
It's frustrating, though. I know. There's quotes I mill over, and I sit there, but I'm just so pissed off at that map. I gotta be real with you. I sit there, I'm like, am I gonna make a video about this? No, I'm not gonna make a video about this.
And here's the thing: if we'd pushed that forwards, I felt like we would have lost more, because that was a genuine concern, which is like, if we bring this into the, Zetsubo, we brought this kind of back earlier. I thought this was going to randomize people even more. And so it was like, okay, let's kind of push it back later. And there's a question of, okay, if we're pushing it back later, how much do we want to do?
Well, I guess it's the complexity of the storyline, and then you start losing people and all that.
Yeah, so that was the reason behind it, which was, okay, let's come in late, and then let's kind of link in at the end. Could we have put a little bit in? Yeah. Could have put a little bit in, like Zetsubo. I still stand by my decision, though, which was I felt like it would have driven the narrative, as in the external narrative, in a way that I didn't really want it.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I completely respect that.
Thank you.
Let's see. Here's a fun one that you might get to dodge. Will there be any significance to the drawing of the Keeper visiting Samantha inside Der Eisendrache? Just so out of place, and seems like kind of a big deal. Now, it could be over on that timeline there, or somewhere in the paragraphs. But I haven't seen every bit of writing on it yet. But
so that's a little present for you, though.
Right. Did you see my reaction yet?
I've not seen the reaction yet.
I knew it before it even came out. As soon as you start unrolling it, I'm like, that can't be the timeline. I was like, oh, it can't. And as soon as you're like, do you know what this is? On the camera, I'm like, it's the timeline.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. It's a work of art.
It truly is. Our writers and our artists who did it, they did a phenomenal job. And they were obsessing about it, by the way. That was that was almost the same kind of work as remastering maps. You know, getting all the story together, lining it all up, checking all our stuff, making sure it was good, and then the artistic treatment on top. Yeah.
The entire zombie community could not do what they did, but you do have some freedom to write it the way you want.
Sure.
But linking those dates is so difficult from our perspective, trying to get all that stuff, to finally have that set in stone and then still have the paradox needing to be resolved, still leaving for other stuff, maybe take that universe and, oh, look at this, another one.
Yeah.
But I really appreciate that we don't have infinite infinites.
Yes.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
My pleasure. It's.
Oh.
I mean, here's the thing, you know, and again, I could probably spend the rest of this video talking about the complexities of the narrative challenge here, but there was only, because when we started kind of writing the story for 3,
Yep.
there was only actually probably 4 or 5 ways we could take it.
Absolutely.
Like
You guys were kind of stuck.
there was only a handful, and by the way, that's not a criticism of the past. That's more like
Just
when we kind of laid it down, we were like, "There's this way, that way, that way, that way," and it, you know, I actually share your opinion, which was about multiverses and so forth.
It hurts you as a writer.
Yeah,
Creatively, it's just like, well, we'll just take all the weight out of everything.
And if I was to sit here now and tell you the alternates we could have done, you would pick the one I picked. Because here's the thing, the alternates ran out of road very quickly.
Oh no.
Maybe not for the season. I could have probably given you a season that you'd say, yeah.
Yeah, but that's fan service, and what does that do for us?
No, but here's the thing, what I think what would happen is you might have got through, you know, Black Ops 3.
Okay.
And we're just kicking the can down. The problem would have come down later, and I'd be saying to you in, let's say, a future title, well, that's the bed I made, right?
Right.
So I made the choice which I felt gave us room, gave us steering direction, gave us opportunities, and I thought it was the best of the options.
I'm very excited for those opportunities. I think we all are very excited to see those opportunities.
Yeah.
So nothing's changed, right?
No, it's exactly the same.
So Jason, I wanted to wrap up with a couple questions here that are kind of fun more because it's interesting to me.
Okay.
Do you have a favorite or one that just jumps to your mind, memory during this Black Ops 3 cycle from the development side, something that you just loved creating that you got to see either in the community or just inside the studio that you want to share?
I suppose there's one from each, right?
Please.
I suppose development side. There's so many, because each one of them is an exploration with a bunch of creative people down different avenues. So I could name hundreds. One that stands out. Well, I remember Gorod Crovey when we were first hooking up the dragon to kind of land on the kind of environment.
Right.
And I don't know if you know, but something in my style, I love playing with scale.
Yes.
So you'll see that from the giant robots.
Yes, very much so.
To the dragon and so forth. I love this idea of things, and this kind of connects into the kind of Lovecraftian kind of lore as well. The idea that you are so small and insignificant based on the scale of other things, and I think that's a great statement about time and space and dimensions and so forth.
More storytelling.
More storytelling, but I love it in the kind of physical sense. And I remember, you know, in Blockout, which is very grayscale, you've not got any textures on there, and you're dealing with spacing and blocking. But the animation department kind of snuck in the animation for the dragon landing, and they didn't tell me.
Ooh.
And so I kind of ran into the room and it landed and put its head in, and you know, it's like I wish I had 3D glasses on at that time, but I almost fell out of my chair because they hadn't told me they were going to put it in. It came in and went and did the full thing. I was like, and that was amazing. That was the same feeling I had when we did Origins and they switched the robots on, and suddenly like the foot would just come down near you, and I was just like, oh my god. So that would be the kind of the dev side, some of the dev kind of fun stuff. Community-wise, I loved seeing everyone's reaction to Der Eisendrache.
Yeah?
The outro IGC.
Oh.
I'm picking cinematics here. I could pick all gameplay ones as well.
Of course, but
I just remember just the emotion, because
right.
You know, as I've mentioned to you before, I'm driven by seeing people have reactions to things. I like that, and there was just real genuine. I saw genuine emotion going on when he's, and Dempsey's some could argue a little bit two-dimensional at times. He's a bit of a block of wood, but that's part of his character. And so I was really excited by showing this kind of softer side. And then the point when Rick Tobin comes over and puts his hand on his shoulder, and people were being genuinely touched by that moment, I was flipping out at that point.
Well, what I love personally about that is because you get that dynamic that is just so incredible, that hatred they've had through all the stories, and all of a sudden you see this friendship that's being born because they all notice that they're part of this bigger plan, this gravitas scenario.
Yeah.
But Johnny J actually put it to me very, very well. Just like for a character that has no problem killing constantly,
Yes.
the hardest thing for him to do was to kill himself.
Yeah.
And just like,
Well, you know, and then we did that stuff with. Sorry, I'm sweating under these lights here. I apologize. We were. I ran in this morning, but we were talking about his progression, and we talked about his, notes from the field and his field reports, and the idea that no one was listening. And there's kind of a through line for people who are kind of into the story. There's a through line of sorrow and emptiness and loneliness that kind of goes through the piece.
yeah, it's a little obvious.
But it's only for people who really kind of followed the story all the way through that really hits home. And that's why a lot of those people, when they saw the Dreisendracht kind of crowd chamber thing at the end, I think really had an emotional reaction because you saw Dempsey who's like, ooh, ah, doing all this kind of stuff, having a genuine moment. And then I love the fact, and this is the narrative department's work, there could have been dialogue said, but I love the fact that we just put the hand on the shoulder because I think that says more than pages of dialogue.
Absolutely.
So I was very happy with that.
Very much so. I do have to say, though, my favorite character development we got out of all the cutscenes was Takio by far. That whole sequence, to me, was just so much more to bring a character that was genuinely disliked and hated originally in World at War and even through Black Ops 1. Was always the lamest. No one liked Takio.
Yep.
And from what you took to in Origins, you completely turned him into one of the coolest characters in the group, which floors me.
And here's the thing, right? That was a motivation that started before Origins.
Really?
So before Origins, and you'll notice when you see the intro IGC to Origins, I tried to make a very deliberate point of taking someone who was really hated and disliked, and this by the way, is a theme you'll see through my work, which is take something that's really disliked and then challenge people on it and say, really? Okay. If I change this though, what would you say? And I thought it was very interesting we did Origins. I was like, let's make Takio, when we had Alex Ross do the painting, and Alex Ross is a phenomenal artist.
Oh, yes.
And we were talking about the composition. I was like, I want Takio at the front. Let's put the guy that everyone hates.
You love doing that stuff, man.
I was like, let's put him at the front and make him iconic. Let's have his sequence. And I was a little bit torn because I really enjoyed Nikolai's sequence in that as well. I mean, I enjoyed each one of them, but I really wanted to make Takio that when he turned up, everyone would be like, oh, this guy.
Right?
Oh my God. And so that was a very deliberate choice. And then we kept on working on it throughout the series. So when it came to Zetsubo, I thought the idea of, again, the thing that it's amazing how we build our lives on certain truths and identities, and we become our beliefs, if you will.
Absolutely.
And so the idea that he was kind of two-dimensional, and to play on that kind of two-dimensional thing, and say, yeah, but it's all based on these kind of simple underpinnings. And if you look at each one of their characters, there's actually a single underpinning on each character that essentially each time we just rocked. Be it Dempsey and the fact that, even though he's a bloodthirsty killer, that sensitivity and fragility of confronting himself. Takio, the fact that his blind following of the Emperor and honor and everything is essentially baseless, and he's being betrayed by the person he thinks demonstrates ultimate honor and respect towards. To Nikolai and his kind of self-delusion, losing himself in the bottle due to the death of his wife, and so forth. Those things really kind of filled me with excitement. And as I say, I love the fact that by taking Takio and changing his character, and I think we did that with each one of them, change them in a different way. And I think it works to kind of complement the original stuff as well. Right. Which is why...
It's an interesting dynamic for sure.
Yeah, I don't think you're trying to get rid of that. You need that for this stuff to all really resonate as well.
But one thing I did have a gripe with is the character arcs that were being told, and I feel like you ran out of time again. I feel like this is almost like something that constantly happens where you're saying, we really want to take these Origins characters and we want to tell an interesting story, because you're kind of stuck if you're just the same stereotype. How many times can they say the same thing? But we were getting quotes that really went nowhere. And that might be part of the fun of exploring things, like you saying, well, you should look more into that in the next game. But that gets frustrating me as a player when I'm on this game, on this content, and I'm saying, why did I see nothing about that for 3 maps? We talk about it in DE, and then really nothing is resolved later on. What happened to that character development in the Black Ops 3 season?
Because, here's one statement. So if I was making a TV show, I'd have to do that.
Of course.
I'd have to make sure, because I don't know what's going to happen next. I don't have any control over that. What a wonderful situation, the fact that Activision with Treyarch together there's a certain predictability to our development and to the way we think about stuff. So I can think about something and say, okay, I'm thinking further out. You know, in the same way that if we're going to have this conversation after Black Ops 2, you may turn to me and say, why didn't you do anything with that stuff? And you didn't touch Samantha in that way. You didn't do this thing in that way. I look at that in the same way about how we kind of played with arcs in Black Ops 3, because I don't see it as an arc. I see it as the beginning of a trajectory.
That's fair. I completely understand it. I get it.
So to your point, absolutely. Did I develop them fully? No.
I got you.
No.
That's not the plan, though. That's the view. I got it.
Because here's the thing I'm looking for. I'm looking for a zombies community that I can continue to, hopefully, continue to grow and encourage and move along. And so, as such, I see the response in people like yourself, where they have a true investment in the storytelling. That's only grown over many years.
Absolutely.
And so I don't want to give you a little package and go, there you go, you're done. I want to give you stuff where you can really kind of think about it and go, oh, that's interesting, where's this going to go? And even when we've handed out the zombie timeline, I think that's a great snapshot. But it opens up just as many questions, I feel.
Absolutely.
And I think once you've explored it all and worked out some things.
I was reading through it last night. They already translated everything. It's already there, and I was going through it all, and there's plenty of stuff now that you can ask those questions.
But I felt for like guys like you know, and Johnny J and Waffles and all those guys, for narrative people, now they've got canon and a solid foundation. I feel like there's a new generation of storytelling theory they're going to now work on. Because I'm happy with that. And so, but I'm also happy that the connections and pathways I have set up are all ripe and ready there. And so I don't need speculation on this old stuff now. There it is, it's canonized, right?
Right.
So yes, in terms of character arcs inside one season, yes, you've got some half arcs.
But it's completely understandable from that point of view then.
Yes.
Because I gotta be honest with you, never have we experienced someone taking a lead like that in zombies and actually planning something long term.
Yeah.
What we've experienced is normally like, all right, here's an idea, what's the community thinking, let's make something.
That's why it's a shock to the community, and I understand that. I absolutely, when you kind of come in and say, why did you do that?
Well, that's the reaction I hear, right?
I get it, right? I get it. And interestingly enough, because let's say I wasn't doing very much press back there, but that was what we were doing back in Mob and Origins.
Yeah.
When and to be honest, that's what I was doing back in Doris, right?
That's one of my favorites.
That was thank you. That was the whole kind of principle. The difference is this is a full season where I kind of did all the whole kind of stream all the way through.
Yeah.
So rather than a one-off, like how to put it, if you look at, let's say, Mob, I think we talked about this last time. If you look at Mob, you'd be completely legitimized in saying to me, Jason, you did not finish the story arcs, you did not do this or that or the other. This is the first one where I'm using multiple episodes to do the similar thing. I'm setting stuff up, but I'm not giving you a season that kind of just stops and goes, there you go. And I think that's important as well to me, which is to look at the season as a piece rather than look at it as a season, if you will.
I think what you're explaining to me is so incredibly ambitious. I'm not sure if the viewers at home are going to understand what I'm picking up on right now, but it is really, I wish you all the best of luck in that, because that will be something if you can pull that up. That changes the status quo of a lot of the stuff we experience.
I mean, isn't that my job?
Yes.
That's like,
and I appreciate that.
And here's the thing: it's like it's a tough road, but I know where I was going. So you're gonna have to, you have to be able to. I think I mentioned this to you before. I feel like I've got to make steps and make choices which are going to get me equal amount of flack as may get me praise, because I think that's the only way we can kind of move the whole community and grow it bigger and bigger and give it options and so forth. So that's what I'm trying to do. I think if I just kind of tied it up and closed it and then said, oh, here's a cliffhanger, but it's all nicely wrapped up, I don't think that would have serviced what we should be doing.
No, it isn't, but it's shocking to me to hear a developer care that much.
I do, man. I do. It's hard to, I get it. Like, I'm a corporate face of an entity, and I get that, right? But
you're really actually,
I don't really give a crap, because I'm a storyteller and a gameplay guy. That's what I love, right? I love making great gameplay. I love tell great narratives or try our best, right? And but to do that in the same way that it's interesting, right? People talk about story and story investment. I take mechanical investments that they don't spot as easily, which again have the same kind of art development.
Absolutely.
So like, and I don't spend much time on camera talking about it because people don't really even think about that stuff.
But that's some of the best stuff.
But like when I talk about Zetsubo and the fact that we rebuilt the house underneath while we were out of the shops, right?
Yeah.
That's a multi-season investment.
Absolutely.
People don't spot that though.
No, they're
right?
never going to be able to, but that's the foundation of
They
it
can
all.
see narrative and they go, oh, narrative, right? But there's techniques and things that we're putting in that's setting up new kind of echoes back. In the same way, if you looked at Origins or Mob, and then you looked at, let's say, Black Ops 3 season, you probably could see
big time.
Structural design, gameplay elements that are kind of echoing through that.
For sure.
But you'd also say to me, you'd say, but Jay, you didn't pay off that one. I was like, yeah, but I...
But,
yeah. So the same mentality can be applied to multiple facets of game development.
That's amazing. Well, thank you so much for your time, Jason.
Sure.
This has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe for more content, and I can't wait to see what you have in store for us all.
Me too.
Hey, Comedy Ralston 27 back here, and I just wanted to end this presentation by thanking Activision and Treyarch for letting me have the opportunity to interview Jason. I want to thank Jason so much for sitting down and talking with me. It was an incredible experience. I do have to tell you, that was a sponsored video. As you imagine, I was flown out by Treyarch to that event. They paid for my hotel, my cab, and my meals, some of them anyway. But what I wanted to tell you guys, after you guys have begged and told me, Reed, we want it, well, guess what? I got it to work out. You can now order all the perk posters behind me. They're going to be on pre-order for an extremely limited time. So until May 22nd, you can buy all of the perk posters plus all the gobblegums for $55. That's about $3.08 a poster. It's 18 posters. They're 12 by 18 inches. And you can, of course, get the Death Force series as well and all that stuff for a big bundle pack. You can get all these posters and you can put them all on your walls and pretty much literally cover an entire wall like I have with beautiful art. And I am so happy to bring it to you. I had so many people yell at me for not having it. So there you go. That's my way of trying to make sure to make things happen, because you want the product, I can bring it to you. Thank you for watching. There is one thing I have to say though, because I'm always honest with you guys. I could not ask all the questions I wanted to ask, and that's totally okay because this was specific for certain reasons. But I know some of you guys already talked about JC's video, and I'm sure you're going to talk about other interviews that are going to go up about why people didn't ask certain questions. Just be patient. Just be patient. I wish there was more things I could have asked, things I could have thought of asked, but that's just not how it worked. So I did my very best to ask as much as I could of Jason, both from an entertainment perspective, from the development side, and from storyline and gameplay mechanics. I hope you enjoyed the video. Subscribe for more and leave a rating if you did. I'd love to hear your thoughts about our interviews or any theories you might have from the topics that we discussed. I'm Ralston27, and I will see you in the next video.